Hi guys, welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbe, and here we are on this beautiful rainy day here in Western Massachusetts. I am part of Star Nations Radio Network, and we do our broadcasting through Be Live TV. So welcome to the show. And Chakra Sessions is all about the ways that we hold on to energy in our body. And as we hold energy in our body, we can create dis-ease within ourselves, whether it turns into physical pain, emotional trauma, turmoil, mental spinning ideas, or whether you have this spiritual sense of disconnect. All of those are things that happen when our chakra system isn't functioning fully and properly. So this morning, we're really going to focus on one particular part of our energy body, and it's the lymphatic system. And we actually have an energetic lymphatic system as well, which helps us stay in the flow of all things in our life. So if we can kind of do a little house cleaning in there, we might be able to get things moving a little more steadily for you in your life. So I'm really excited about talking about this morning. So good morning, Christine. Nice to see you. Nice to have you in the house. And Marilyn, welcome. Glad to have you here. And Robin, very nice. Glad to see you guys are here. So, a lot of interesting things happen when we block our energy system. And we all do it. Even I do it. If I have like a twinge of pain, I'm like, what am I holding on to? And so as we look at the chakras, we can start to see how we hold certain types of energy. And the lymphatic system is pretty darn important because it helps a lot of things flow. It connects to all the organs in our body, and it supports our whole spinal column. So you can imagine if you've had back pain at any point or neck pain at any point in your life, you had some extra energy stored in there that needs releasing. So how cool is that? We can take the time to learn how to let that go. So hi, you guys. Hi, Neshi. Neshi is here as the director of Star Nations Radio Network, and she's also my little reminder. If you guys could like and share this broadcast, it helps us reach other people who might be interested or who might need some extra healing. And whether you do that, on your page or in a group that you think might be interested, any, spreading of the love can help us all. So thanks, guys, about that. And Margaret, nice to see you. Good day, Jill. Glad you're here with us. And hi, Rob. What do you know? I'm glad you're going to catch it in the archives. That works for me. So this is a really interesting topic for me. A lot of people who show up to get healing from me have had some odd physical or emotional things going on in their lives where traditional medicine, traditional approaches aren't working. And traditional, I mean Western medicine. So when we are in a mindset that is the only approach, then sometimes, when the doctor's like, I don't know, or it could be this, you are left with this sense sometimes that you weren't heard, that something's really wrong with you because they can't figure it out, or you have a sense that, maybe you need to see somebody different. And the energetic lymphatic system really impacts a lot of different things. And a lot of the sort of interesting illnesses that have been coming up more lately show up in the lymphatic system. So great. I'm so glad you're here, Julie. So, listen as long as you can. The energetic lymphatic system holds onto energy. As I said, it works down your entire spinal column. It also impacts your pituitary, your pineal, and your hypothalamus. It also works through your actual lymphatic system, and it sort of, I see a spider web always. It's hard to explain that. It goes out and it impacts all of your organs from the back, okay, from the back side. So this is all this energy that flows down your back or doesn't flow down your back. And so when we have blockages in these spaces, it turns into interesting things like fibromyalgia, or it turns into lymph things like Lyme disease. It shows up as chronic fatigue syndrome, and a host of other sort of catch-all terms where sometimes it's very difficult for you to get proper medical care. They get that it's happening, but they aren't able to do anything about it. And part of that is because you have excess energy stored in your lymphatic system. And when you have extra energy in there, it starts to spread in every direction. And it only shows up as physical pain when it's been there quite a long time. And for those of us who maybe haven't had the physical pain of it, we've certainly had some of the emotional symptoms of it, which can sprout as depression. It can be shown up as something very bipolar. It is also what feeds our need to fill addictions. So after saying that, there might be a handful of people that you can already think of who probably have some extra energy stored in there. It also is part of the reason that people with autism have difficulty, because their energetic lymphatic system needs a stronger drainage through the back. So a lot of the energy gets stuck from the right behind the shoulder blades upwards. So instead of flowing all the way down the spine, it stays up. And so it gets really overloaded in the head and neck area. So good morning, Michelle. I'm not doing readings today, but I will be doing them tomorrow night. So feel free to check in tomorrow night at 7. But I am going to do a big healing for everybody this afternoon if you are, or morning, I guess it is for you guys. I'll be doing a healing for you if you're interested in that. So the excess energy that we store in our lymphatic system is all unexpressed emotions. So every time you've stopped yourself from being angry, stopped yourself from crying, stopped yourself from saying what you needed to say, you might have held on to that energy, especially if you didn't then later express it in sort of a timely manner. And you've done that when, 2 days later, you're still mad about something. Or you bring it up. You remember that time when you did this? Well, then you're holding on to the energy of that, and it's somewhere in the lymphatic system or somewhere in your back. So those repressed emotions start to get really dense. They start to collect in certain areas. And the more we do it a particular way, so say your way is not to speak up for yourself, or not to say what you need to say, or not to say something in anger, or not to use your words, you will be collecting that energy in the back of the neck and at the base of the skull. So when it gets really congested in there, you are going to start to develop a lot of headaches that work up from the neck and a wrap around, even migraines. And it can also lead to vertigo because you are not in balance, down the whole back of your body. And so it can leave us on unsteady footing. So, why would you leave your lymphatic system clogged? That's what one of my clients said to me. Why would you leave it clogged? Mostly because you're used to it, right? You might not want to express, stuck emotions. But the cool thing about this is you don't actually have to express them. You get to move the energy through them, kind of like energetic Drano is another way somebody described it as a client. It was like, wow, it was like Drano for my energy system in my back. And those of you who have heard of lymphatic massage, it is used for people who have cancer, right? Ah, yes. Now she's saying, oh, the old pain in the neck syndrome. What a pain in the neck. Absolutely. And if there are pain in your rear end, well, it's all the way down there too. And the when we hold on to that energy, it's really difficult. We get used to it. But I love the fact that you don't actually have to know what the energy is connected to. You can just realize that it's clogged and it needs to come out. Because I'm sure nobody in the chat room would like to end up with Lyme disease or fibromyalgia if they didn't have to. And then for those of you who might already have those, wouldn't you like to release the energy that causes you to be symptomatic? So how cool is that? We don't have to hold on to that. And for those of you, Roberta says, move it on out. I love that, sweetie. Absolutely, right? And, people who have trauma, who especially those that have post-traumatic stress, this was one of the things that I recognized with my clients very early on. If people had post-traumatic stress, this was super clogged. And a lot of those people were having difficulty sleeping. They were having headaches. They were having neck and back pain. And all of that was impacting how they ate, how they drank, how they slept. And it was triggering their addictions, right? And so as soon as I do this healing, most people feel a relief in those symptoms relatively quickly. The longer you've held on to them, of course, the more times that you want to do this. But what a cool format we have here, because as soon as we're done, it's recording, right? So you'll be able to check back at the recording anytime you might want to move this energy. And I just love that, because now the healing is out there and you can use it whenever you need to. For those of you who have fibromyalgia or lymph symptoms like Lyme disease or chronic fatigue syndrome, this is a cool one to do once a week for a little while until you feel energy really moving. So I'm so excited for you guys to have this opportunity. Hi, Minnie. Welcome to the show. So, the energetic lymphatic system, it starts just around your third eye, and it's going to go up over the head and down your tailbone. So if you imagine like this S that goes from the top of the head down the tailbone and out, that's where it's held on to. And, generally, this gets clogged because the excess emotions don't fit in our regular chakras anymore. We can only handle so much anxiety or so much stress or so much frustration, so much righteous anger, so much disappointment, so much sadness, so much. I mean, like, your body can handle a certain amount, and when you feel it and when you express it and it moves through, great. But there's so many times when we're taught it's inappropriate to express it. And in those moments when it's inappropriate, we hold on to it. And when we hold on to it, we don't always take time to actually release it. We sort of stuff it to the side, or some people will talk about, I put it on the shelf. Well, this is where the shelf is located. When you're wondering where you stuffed it and all of a sudden it's coming out like a vengeance, this is where you stuffed it. So, think about anything that you bring up regularly about your past. I have a family member who constantly goes back to this point in time when they decided to go into the military after high school. And their mom was not happy with it. And she laid a major guilt trip that this person is still carrying, right? Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't have been, And this person has a very strong warrior archetype. So they've been a warrior in many, many lifetimes. This was a calling for them. They had to go. It wasn't something that, they were doing to rebel against their parents. It was like they felt this deep need to serve. But now, all these years later, they're still carrying this guilt. And their mom is not even here with us any longer, but they're still looking for forgiveness from their siblings. And their siblings aren't upset about it and never were upset about it because they understood it was their calling. So there's no forgiveness needed, but the person is still holding on to that and still seeking forgiveness. And really, it needs to happen within themselves. Like, it was okay for you to follow your calling. And just because it upset somebody else doesn't mean it wasn't the right thing to do. Does that make sense, guys? So if you have an incident like this, it doesn't have to be that severe. It can be, when you were 5, you broke my favorite bicycle. And you hold that against that sibling, and you still do. You're holding on to that energy. It's going to be in this location as part of what we're doing because it's old energy from the past. If you're holding on to, something somebody said or something somebody did, or people who talk, about high school being the glory days and they're missing out on living their life right in this moment, they have a lot of excess energy in their spine. And by the way, the person that I was talking about that I know who has this, they have serious spinal cord issues that they've had for, 30 years now. And I can track it because it started when my second son was born, within a month of him being born. So that is a long time to hold on to something, right? So we all do it. We all have something that we've held on to. So, I highly doubt there's anybody in the room who's not going to have some excess energy in the lymphatic system to clear, because that's, just our favorite place to kind of stuff it and not deal with it. For me personally, I realize that what I hold on to in there more than anything is anger, because when you're a good girl, you don't get angry. And, you're not allowed to express that necessarily, or you feel uncomfortable expressing it because of somebody else's reaction. We avoid conflict rather than expressing our own anger. I recently watched that Disney movie, Inside Out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but you should watch it, because now I feel much happier with my emotions now that I can have a visual. So the movie shows joy being, just really happy and butterfly and, fairy dust, and then sadness is just so dense and so sad and just can barely move. But of course, sadness helps save the day. And then there's the anxiety who just freaks out about every little thing. And there's anger, who I needed to see. And he blows his top, like literally fire comes out of his head when his anger gets flared. And I was thinking about how if I'd been able to like blow my anger, like fire out of the top of my head when I had it, things would have been a lot different. I could have felt it, it could have released, and I could have moved forward. But instead, it was like a whole bunch of fire locked in there. And I'm somebody who did have fibromyalgia. I have been symptom-free now for, I'd say, I think we're going on 7 years now. Since I moved the energy, and I can feel when it starts to clog up. So I do this healing regularly on myself, for myself. As soon as I have a lot of stress, because when we go through periods of a lot of stress, then this has to happen. We all need a good stress cleanser. And this is one of my favorites. And I feel like it's a seasonal cleanse kind of thing that would help all of us, because, we all have times, if you're at work, you can't say what you want to say sometimes. It's not appropriate. And it's okay to choose the right words and say it, in a kind way, because that's how we want to interact. But if you don't sort of project the fact that there's anger behind what you're saying, then all that gets stored in you. Or if you have a lot of sadness that you're hurt, for me, sadness is easier to express. I tend to, bubble over with it. But I can't when I'm teaching, right? Or I can't when I'm with a client. If a client's story touches me to my very core, it's not okay for me to just start sobbing, right? Because it's touching a part of me that had a similar experience. It's not appropriate in that moment. So if I'm holding on to that, remembered sadness, if I don't have a good practice at the end of my day to release all the energy that I've held on to, I'm going to hold that somewhere in my body. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Well, Roberta, yes and no. Women hold this way more than men. Men more often feel no guilt and just let it out and get over with it. Yes, with anger. Not so much with sadness. Men have a hard time crying and letting that out. Or at least the men that I have as clients. They do great expressing anger. They do not do so well with expressing their sadness. We've sort of made it okay for them to be angry. We haven't made it okay for women to be angry, but women are allowed to be sad and men aren't. So we shame women for being angry because we call them nasty words. And we shame men for being sad or having that emotional feeling and, they get called things like a sissy or a wuss or whatever. And so it's still shamed. So I've seen just as many men with fibromyalgia and Lyme disease as I have women. It hasn't been one gender specific. And they also hold quite a bit of anger because there are certain situations where they weren't allowed to express it. So I'm talking about at a younger age, you got in serious trouble if you spoke it to your parents or to your teachers. So in those instances, they held it too. But they do have a lot more outlets, I believe, for releasing anger on a regular basis. It's okay for them to go, to a punching bag or, swing a bat or, right. Men are seen as a crybaby, right? And so they learn to hide those tears really early. And then we, as women, want them to be sensitive and want them to express their feelings. And they were like trash talked into believing, they had to be tough and they had to be strong. So they seem like they have an easy time, but they're not accessing very many emotions a lot of the time. And that can be really difficult. I think women are better at learning the gamut of emotions and being able to express them because we're working as a female community to make that okay. And then we're trying to teach the men that it's okay as well. But there's a lot more difficulty, I think, with them believing that it's okay. We have had women's support groups and, facilitating things for a long, long time. And even if you think back to tribal times, we'd go, connect in the hut and we'd all, let loose everything that was pissing us off, and the guys didn't necessarily have that quite same thing. So now she's saying doing this cleanse healing is like a spring or fall cleaning of our homes. Absolutely. It's your energy home, right? This is our energetic home body. So this is like, yeah, when you're doing your cleaning for your house, you need to clean your energy house too. And so if you can get into that routine, that's a really good thing. Think about people who do like the juice cleanses. The juice cleanses work great on the physical body, but do the emotional body too. Because then you'll get even more movement and even more release. And actually, if you're doing it to lose weight, you're actually going to lose more weight too, because the energy you're holding onto is dense and it collects in your tissues and it collects in the fat and it collects in the organs. So when we release it, we make room for that stuff. We don't need the fat to be there to hold on to that emotional energy any longer. I hope that makes sense. So, because, we put on weight as body armor to protect our chakras, to protect ourselves, because we feel attacked by other energy. And sometimes we don't have a good shield energetically on our body. So we do it by creating body armor, and that shows up in weight, so you can notice where we all have extra weight that we carry in certain parts of our body. Take a look at that because that lets you know which chakras feel the need for protection. When I started my school, I put on weight. And at first I was asked my spiritual team, like, what's up? What's the deal? And it's like, well, you need a little shielding right now until you learn how to hold that much more energy, because as my school grows, there's more and more energy for me to hold. And it's each year, it's like exponential. And so my body is starting to get used to that. So it's getting okay with me shifting my eating a little bit and clearing out different things. And I'm not holding onto the energy in my spine, but I have definitely this sort of protective force field going on in certain areas. And being an empath, my belly, that third chakra area, that sort of like tube that goes around. A lot of us empaths have that little like tube that goes on right there, because we're taking in so much information. We're trying to process so much that we get overloaded. So Minnie's on her perfect timing because she started a juice cleanse this morning. Yes, this is a great timing. And just keep this in the back of your knowledge, guys, that, if you decide to do a juice cleanse or something at certain times, it can be a little hard at the holidays. But, a lot of people make this New Year's resolution that they're going to start this way. Well, do it for your energy body as well as your physical body. Because energetically, we have, 4 layers that impact us quite substantially. Our physical layer, which is our body, our bones, our organs, our muscles. We have our emotional body, which houses all of our feelings and our interpretations of those feelings. We have our mental body, which is our thought process and our belief system. So how we, believe it's okay or not okay to express emotions, that's going to be in there. What's right, what's wrong, what's okay, what's not. That's all in the mental layer. And then we have our spiritual layer of our energetic body. And that's how connected we are to, believing that the divine is going to help us, support us, provide for us. Or whether we feel like we have to ask for help, or that, when we ask, we're not being heard, then we're going to have some difficulty in that layer. And believe it or not, the lymphatic system works on all of those things. And just when it shows up in the densest form, it ends up in our actual lymph system in our physical body. And that's when things like fibromyalgia start to crop up. This is always, my team, I was like, well, I try not to use always, but my team was like, no, this isn't always. Cancer cannot show up with this being fully open. So if somebody has cancer, they need this healing. Or if they've had cancer in the past, they need this healing, because you don't want it to resurface, because this is where the pool of energy came from to mutate the cells in the first place. Phew, lots of information. Hope you guys are hanging in there. Sometimes my team is a little chatty. But in general, we are going to do a healing meditation today. After this healing, you're going to be mindful that you want to drink quite a bit of water over the next couple of days, because we're doing an energetic cleanse. So don't be surprised if you have to pee a lot or other bodily fluids a lot, because it just needs to move, and just be like, cool, this is my energy moving. I'm happy to see you go. And this is sort of a 2-part healing. So we're going to do a really quick balance of the chakras, much faster than we normally do. And we're going to do it in a little bit different fashion. And then as we do make sure all the chakras are like ready to do the cleanse, then we're going to move our way through. And you're going to hear quite a bit of clearing noise from me, because there's a number of points in the energy body that can hold them down the lymphatic system. But I'll be guiding you to where we are on the head and the spine and whatnot, so you can concentrate your energy on removing anything that you might be holding there. So remember that I am a conduit for the healing energy. And so I channel in what my team feels is needed for the entire group. I do not feel what is getting released. I don't know who's releasing what. I just feel the group energy and whether it's moving or not. So this is as personal as you want it to be. If you know some energy you're holding on to, go for it and take the opportunity. Even if you just take some of the energy out so it's not causing as much havoc in your life, that would be amazing for you and for everyone around you. So let's get ourselves ready. Yeah. And I'm going, like I said, I'm going to make clearing noises. So we're going to call in the divine energy. And as we do that, please make sure that your feet and your legs and your arms are uncrossed. Just take a couple of deep breaths and really become present with yourself in this moment. We invite in the divine energy, however we perceive that, to surround and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light. Right. Yeah. And we set the intention that this healing meditation is for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. Yeah. And welcome in your spiritual team, your angels, your guides, your ancestors, your teachers, your animals, all divine, of the highest, fullest, and brightest vibration available to you in this moment. Yeah. And we're going to begin by allowing the energy to connect with our crown, just opening our connection to the divine, to our authentic self, to our higher self, so that we can have clear perception of who we are and what we are ready to let go of. Yeah. To bring flow and ease back into our lives. Yeah. And balancing our third eye in our forehead. Yeah. So that our intuition and our senses work beautifully together, and that we are able to access our inner knowing of those messages, that information. Yeah. And bringing our energy fully into the present so that all the spinning thoughts and ideas can calm. Yeah. And balancing in our throat chakra, the energy of our authentic truth and our self-expression. And just lovingly understanding that there are times that we had to hold our voice, hold our emotions. But in this moment, it will be safe to bring them back to balance and release any extra vibration that may be residing there. Yeah. And bringing the energy into our fourth chakra in our heart. And just being gentle with ourselves and compassionate, knowing that of course we have unexpressed sadness, disappointment, or guilt, that we've held on to, or shame.
Yeah.
But we can choose to release all that is ready.
Yeah.
For ourselves, for our inner child. Bringing balance back into our heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And moving into our third chakra and really bringing balance back to all the ways we've held on to energy through anxiety, fear, anger, frustration, judgment, assumptions.
Yeah.
In any way we have blamed or shamed ourselves, talked negatively to ourselves, just allowing that type of energy to come back into balance and opening the pathways for any of that to release. And moving down into our second chakra and really right below the belly button, bringing into balance the ebb and flow of all of our emotions and our connections and reactions to others. And any imbalances that we've held that have led to addictions or toxic relationships, abuse or trauma. Just taking the sting of that energy out.
Yeah.
And moving down into our first chakra below our tailbone. And just bringing into balance any ways that we've held on to insecurity, instability, have felt unsafe, unprotected, unnourished, uncared for. And just calling that back into balance. And inviting in the earth energy from Grandmother Earth, the divine feminine energy, to just move up through our legs and our feet, to anchor us, to ground us, and give us space for all of the energy to be released through. Now we're going to move up to the top of the forehead. And in this spot, we're just going to begin to have the pressure of anything, any thoughts and beliefs to be gently moved. Anything that is stuck. And moving to the 2 points on the top of the head. If you have a part in the middle, it would be on either side of the part.
Yeah.
And any ways that our emotions have impacted our connection to the divine, our trust, our belief, any doubt is housed here.
Yeah.
And then following that same line, 2 spots at the top of the head, right before it starts to move downward.
Yeah.
And don't worry, on each person, it's slightly different spot. We're just going to take a moment to pause there.
Yeah.
And then bringing the energy down to the base of the skull on either side of the spine. Those 2 trigger points that get pressed all the time in massage, in acupressure, in acupuncture. And we hold a lot of energy in this spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And now gently moving down 1 or 2 vertebrae.
Yeah.
And in these places, it's the words we've held back, the stress of not being able to speak our truth
Yeah.
is what we hold on to here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And moving down to where the spine connects to the shoulders. And we're still on either side of the spine. And this is where all of the emotions connected to being burdened and all the responsibilities that we have to carry, our resentment,
Yeah.
frustration,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
maybe even a little righteous anger.
Yeah.
There we go. And then moving down a couple more vertebrae so you're almost in between the shoulder blades. And here, really beginning to release any held on to grief, disappointment, sadness.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Good job, guys. A lot in there.
Yeah.
And then moving down just 1 or 2 vertebrae to get at the bottom of the chakra and just let go of any more disappointment, sadness, any self-blame, any shaming
Yeah.
that you've held on to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, a lot of shame.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Just take a deep breath and allow that to move through.
Yeah.
There's no need to hold that any longer.
Yeah.
Then moving down the spine so that you're in the middle of the back, a little below the rib cage.
Yeah.
Releasing any anger that may be sitting here or any fear as well.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you're going to move down 1 or 2 more vertebrae. And really let go of any resentments, any judgments, whether you're judging others, wanted to judge others, or whether you felt judged. Just both take root here.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
And then moving down the back, just above your pelvis, not quite to your tailbone, near your hips,
Got it.
and releasing any energy connected to old addictions, old abuse, old trauma.
Got it.
Anything that's impacted your flow.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
There we go. And then moving to the top of the tailbone.
Got it. Got it.
And at the top of the tailbone, just releasing any ways that
Got it.
you haven't felt safe at any point in your life or taken care of, or that your needs were met, and just really allowing that to release.
Got it. Got it.
Even if you understand it intellectually, doesn't mean you got it spiritually.
Got it. Got it.
Now the energy is going to begin to move down either leg. So if you can imagine a point behind each buttocks, the top of the buttocks, in your back,
Got it. Got it.
and these are the places where we block our flow, block our ability to create in this life,
Got it.
create new ideas, new beliefs, new money, new friends, new love.
Got it.
And moving both sides to the outside of the hip, right in that little spot that dents in below the hip bone.
Got it. Got it.
Where the IT band connects.
Got it.
And this is how we begin to move the energy in our physical and our spiritual life. So if we are holding back, if we are inflexible, if we're unwilling or uncertain, then the energy gets very compressed here,
Yeah.
making it difficult to stretch and move.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
And now 2 points on the middle, almost the middle part of the thigh, a little higher up than middle, probably 2/3 of the way.
Got it.
And in here, we hold any sexual trauma on the outside and the inside of the thighs,
Got it.
or any ways that we felt taken advantage of.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Ways we felt compromised.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Okay, and there's 2 spots about a hand width above your kneecap on either side of the leg.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
And that's just allowing more space for you to feel safe to speak your truth, safe to be who you are, safe to step forward on your mission and move forward in any way in your life.
God.
And now there's 3 spots that go around the kneecap, but in the back. So if you had a kneecap behind your knee, it would be on either side of the knee, and then where the calf muscle connects in. So you can imagine this little upside down triangle.
God.
And in those triangles, we make room for adaptability to our environment, to our circumstances, to our ability to manage change with ease and with grace.
God.
And we also access more flexibility, more willingness to see multiple perspectives, be open to multiple possibilities, releasing any rigidity that we may hold on to from our beliefs, our thoughts, our patterns.
God. 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 God.
Good. And there's a spot on either side, outside of your calf, toward the top,
God.
probably about 3 finger widths down.
God.
And this just really is another place where anger gets stored and any energy the liver hasn't been able to hold on to,
God.
or the gallbladder.
God. God.
And then moving down about 6 inches. So you're about halfway down.
God. God.
That is also more anger and frustration. A lot of frustration in there.
God.
Now at the ankle bone, we do the same thing. We do a triangle around the ankle bone, 1 point down and 2 points on either side. And that triangle holds how we walk on the red road, how we hold our integrity, how we hold our honesty, how we walk the walk, or we just talk the talk.
God.
So if our talk and our walk does not match, then we will hold the excess energy in the ankles here.
God.
And now on either side of the pinky toe, on the base of the pinky toe where it connects to the foot,
God. God.
and on the inside at the base of the big toe,
God. God.
these points really hold how we ground ourselves, how connected we are, how open we are to being not only a divine but an earth being. And now just imagine some pressure on the bottom of your foot, just underneath the ball in the top part of the arch. And that squeezing sensation is allowing the chakras in the bottoms of the feet to open more fully and allow all of this energy to flow and release down into the ground. And I'm just going to invite you to imagine back at the top of the head, one more pass down the body. Just imagine water flowing down your head, down your spine. As it hits both hips, it moves down both legs on the outside and down into the ground.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now just take a couple of deep breaths and start to come back. All right. I always forget that's a long one. So we are right at the top of the hour. So I'm trying to be mindful of your time. So please be gentle with yourself and drink a lot of water, because there was a lot of energy that moved for you. You may want to pay attention to your dreams for the next 3 nights, because they can be an indication of what energy was releasing or is trying to release. This healing will continue for 3 days. So you may still feel movement as it goes through your body. And that's a good thing, because it's hard to let everything go at once. You want to have it be gentle and happen with grace. So I will see some of you guys tomorrow on Soul Connections from at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I will be doing readings. And in addition, you guys can check out the live feed with Neshi's card drawing for the day, which will happen today at 3 o'clock. And she'll be back for communications at home, from home, at 8 p.m. this evening. And with that, you guys, have a great one, and I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please like and share it so we can reach some more people. Thanks, guys. Bye.